There are very few things that would cause me to hate a board game. I mean, for the most part, board games are games, right? They're designed to be fun, to be something that you enjoy with friends and family and just have a good time playing. There are very few things that would cause me to hate a board game. And I don't mean hate in the, well, that wasn't a very fun experience way of saying it. I mean, like, I want to stop playing, never want to experience the game again. This has ruined not only the evening, but potentially some of my closest friendships style hate. Now, not every board game that makes these mistakes falls into that despicable category, but I have absolutely had moments where, because of some design choice, flaw in, I don't know, logical reasoning or decision made by the game manufacturer, designer, playtesters, I walk away, put the box up, close the lid, stick it back on the shelf, or bank it into the nearest house with a friend that's leaving for the holidays and hopefully not coming back anytime soon. There's some games out there that, because of one or two simple errors, I don't know that I will, or I certainly know that I don't ever want to play them again. I recently saw a post on Facebook by Devin Metland from Board Game Hype talking about a thing that irks him when it comes to board games, and his post started bringing the question into my mind. He said he really, really hates when a two-player board game includes a third player as AI. And I would have to agree. I mean, this might not be in the category of games that have sinned so egregiously that I never want to play them again, but it definitely bogs down the experience, certainly has made some games that I love all the worse at two players whenever I start looking through a rule book and it indicates that if I want to play it with my friend, or the only person I can talk into sitting down at a table with me, I'm gonna need to use a fake friend to join in. I mean, don't we have enough AI slop floating around the world and the internet as it is? I don't need more pretending to spend time with me in my board game. Now, sometimes this is necessary, like all the rules on this list, and it's not the most egregious sin. After all, one of my favorite board games of all time makes this mistake, but I have to say, the third player AI that has to be run for a two-player game is one of the worst things about Dune Imperium. First and primary on my list has to be narrative mistakes in games. Now, this isn't just storytelling. This is also, and I think more centrally, mechanics based, and that includes your classic victory point scoring Euro games all the way over to a D&D RPG dagger point wannabe. There are three core lore-based mistakes that a board game can make, in my opinion. First, non-branching pathways. If they give you the appearance that they're branching, but they don't go anywhere. You also have low-stakes decisions, and you have off-script mechanics for a game. So, non-branching pathways, right? When you think that you can make a decision, and you end up winding your way back to the exact same point, and it's obvious that the designers didn't have any alternative ending for you, you just followed their railroad. It's one of the biggest sins in the RPG world, and it's the same in the board game one. Then we start talking about decisions without consequence, and man, has this ruined a game night session for me. In fact, stalled out a campaign so hard that Shira and I have yet to return to it, even though we had enjoyed the experience all the way up until this moment, and we were maybe 15 or 20 hours in. We watched as we made a decision that resulted in the tragic ending of one of our allies and companions, the death of a character. And then moments later, they were seen returning back into the fold, as if the heartbreak and choice and decision that we made didn't really matter in the least. And then, I mean, worse than that, we run into situations where mechanics of games just don't make sense. They don't make sense logically. They don't make sense when it comes to design. They don't make sense in the real world. There was a photography game that came out recently. You're shooting pictures of wildlife in the wilderness, and it let you swap lenses, let you get a closer shot to some of the animals that were on the horizon. But the problem is, it wasn't how photography works at all. And as a photographer, I couldn't get my mind away from how broken the science, logic, design of the game was in order to fit the mechanics, yes, but if I'm using a longer lens, I compress the background. If I'm using a wider lens, I can't even see the animal that I'm shooting, especially if I'm getting a whole swath of them. Euro games that sin like that, victory point scoring games that break immersion due to mechanics that just don't line up with what we're doing. If I'm baking a pot of chowder, I want the end of the game to reflect how good my chowder is, not how many biscuits I served along the route. I don't know. There's some analogy there, although I think a chowder-based board game does not yet exist. Next, we have a classic that's included at the beginning and end of every single rulebook you sit down to read. And I don't know why publishers just overlook this one annoying trait. If I have to choose a first player, either, have it be something fun and creative and happy, or just let us play in whatever order we want. I can't stand it when the publisher introduces some boring, overused, choose the first player system that always results in the same person going. Like, first person to have a birthday closest to January goes and starts the game. Well, every time we sit down, I'm going to go first. My birthday is January 4th, or youngest player. Now, sometimes that makes sense in some board games where the youngest player going first gives them a slight advantage or allows them to enjoy the game. But if you're getting up into, middle-aged men and women sitting around a table, playing games, drinking beers, and commiserating with each other, do something creative with it. First person to run outside, grab a maple leaf, and swallow it can start. Let it be a competition right at the very beginning. If first player gives you an advantage, let us seek that advantage. And then we have the sin of victory points. And the end of the game, the close, the thing we're all trying to compete for. And we run into situations where it says, if the score is the same, you tie. What? I'm sorry. I didn't just spend an hour of my life desperately scraping at the recesses of my mind to pull together the best score I have ever received to have it be settled in a draw. No one's playing competitive board games in order to have a tied shared victory. Who won the darn game? Don't make me have to figure it out. Don't make me share with the people that I love the most sitting around the table. I don't want to share with them. I want to brag. I want to boast. I want to win. Unless we're playing cooperatively. And then if we all die at the same time at the end of a giant epic battle, I assume we saved the village, beat the dragon, and won the game. Shared victories in cooperative games, totally acceptable. But shared victories without any type of mitigating, points or percentages to dial down and really make sure the person who won. Yeah, you get 3 stages away from the main victory point goal. I'm okay with a tie then. You both played equally incredible. But until that point, you better give me a way to break a tie. Another thing I just can't stand when it comes to board game design, distribution, decisions being made to compress a game down into a little box is when the real game doesn't actually exist in that little box. Now, this could happen with starting scenarios, with general tutorials, or in the case of Marvel Zombies here, it could just be a giant publisher doing their very best to sell something accessible on the open market while putting the best mechanics either behind a paywall or in expansions that come out at a later point. Put your best foot forward, please. Don't give me a tutorial scenario for a game like Revive where I learn the mechanics as I go. I get it. It can help scale some newer players into the game system a little bit more accessibly, a little bit easier. And Revive honestly did it better than most by giving you a narrative path to follow and decisions to be made. But if I have to play 3, 4, 5 games in order to play your best game, You've already lost. Because what's the odds that I'm going to come back if I've only experienced something mediocre to pretty good at best? I mean, Marvel Zombies, I absolutely love what that game does when you get into the heavy, nitty-gritty expansion universe. But that base game, we played through all the content in it in a couple days, and it left me not even wanting to open the big Kickstarter boxes that I have back at my house. It just fell flat. Put your best foot forward. Don't make me have to pay or go seeking and hunting for the game that you promised me I could play. And then we run into issues like player counts, where a box tells me that it plays 1 through 6 perfectly fine, no problems, balanced to a T. I mean, Devin already started us off by indicating that some games claim they actually play 2 when you have to include a third lonely AI to make it a artificial 3-player game, and that's just never as good. It's never as fun as a designed 2-player game. I mean, this is a very good example of this problem. Why do we have Seven Wonders Duel? Well, it's because the original Seven Wonders did such a terrible job at doing what it claimed it was going to be doing, letting you play in a 2-player mode, that they designed a brilliant, wonderful, delightful game, a game that is arguably more popular and potentially better than the original Seven Wonders. That might be a hot take for some people, but I'm willing to stick to it. And that's what they should have done in the first place. I know so many games out there that say they play 1, and they really, really don't. It's some hamstrung AI automata system that's been designed to make you struggle along and score victory points for the sake of scoring victory points without any of the nuanced grit and pleasure that comes from actually playing with people at the table. I know so many games that claim they play 5 and 6 because it's going to look best if it plays 1 to 5 on the box, or you can get up to a whole group of 6. And the game just bogs down so heavy, even the publisher wouldn't recommend it. I mean, I'm thinking of another sin, technically, that Dune Imperium Uprising made. I don't know I've heard or seen anyone actually play that 6-player game and walk away saying, man, that was epic, I'd like to try it again. It's too big, it's too cumbersome, it's too slow, and it didn't need to be on the box in the first place. Don't play this game of unlocking player counts to either sell more copies to more people. If you've lied to them, they're going to have a bad experience and not want to return to your game in the first place. If solo mode sucks, I'm not going to want to play it 3 players. And if 5 players was a drag, I'm not going to go out and buy a copy because I don't think your game is good or fun. So tell us the truth. How many does your game play? Where does it play best? Yeah, we can wiggle it a little bit. Maybe 4 is a little slower than you'd like, but it's still a lot of fun. But 5 is a nightmare. So don't claim it does. And if you want to design a solo game, design a solo game. Make it standalone. Make it something unique. Make it a 2-player that actually can function as a 2-player game that doesn't need a 3rd-player automata added in. It's just one of those little pet peeves, but man, there are, a whole list of games out there that have promised me one thing and delivered me something completely other. Now, while we're getting into it, let's talk about a few other issues that I have with games, and these are going to be opinions that I have personally that don't always hold up with the wider board gaming community. I'm not a big fan of semi-cooperative games in general. I know Nemesis Retaliation, even this boy right here, Dead of Winter or Betrayal House on the Hill are some of the most successful games in the entire industry. But for me, semi-cooperative starts indicating a few issues. One, Betrayal House on the Hill almost always ends in a blowout victory in my experience. Either the betrayer is in the perfect position to take advantage of the game system and rules and annihilate everyone, or they're already at such a disadvantage, they're going to lose by the time they flip the script. I've never actually played Dead of Winter, but part of the reason why I haven't is because of that semi-cooperative nature built into the core game system. And with Nemesis, we fix that problem either by declaring outright that we're going to be cutthroat and screw everyone if they want to try to survive, or that we're going to be cooperative and work together. I like cooperative Nemesis a lot more than I like the let's test and see if I win. Along with that, I just can't stand it when a board game's ending, the victory condition, is predictable. I don't want to be sitting there at the table playing a game that is obviously over. Monopoly is probably one of the more egregious sinners in this regard. You know, I have $12 and you're just waiting for me to land on Boardwalk to give it to you. The game's been finished, but I keep rolling the dice and moving around the track, struggling to earn 60 cents on the dollar here, there, and everywhere until finally you've drained the life out of me. But Monopoly was designed to not be fun. There are modern-day board games designed for us to enjoy that still make this very sin. There was a racing game, I think it's called Heat, that I had the most miserable series of experiences with because I got so screwed by the dice without any mitigation on my part, or risky behavior on my part for that matter. Because I don't mind being screwed by a roll or luck or chance if I've decided to take the risk. But if the game has screwed me, just put me in the back, made it so there's no way I'm going to be able to pull forward and secure a victory, why am I going to continue playing for the next 30 minutes? This sin is directly related to another giant grievance that I have. Games that kick players out. I don't want player elimination in my games. Now, this is another one that Nemesis happens to operate under, and it is one of my bigger complaints. It's why I made a very strong argument in the past that Nemesis is more of an experience than an actual game. I don't want players to be removed from the table unless we're playing something so short, so sweet, that they can be back into a game after they go take a pee break or grab a bag of chips and start munching away. I'm talking 30 seconds to a couple minutes max. But if we're playing a long, strategic, deep, satisfying board game, and one of us has the chance of sitting out for the next 60 to 90 minutes, that's as bad, potentially better, but certainly related to sitting there and continuing to play a game that you know is already over. At that point, wipe your hands, walk away, put the game on the shelf, and save it for kindling next winter when it's cold. Finally, let's get to the thing that you all have been wondering, and the last point on my list. But before we do, leave a comment down below. What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? Have I got something completely wrong, missed listing a game mistake that takes you out of the experience immediately? Now, the last thing on my list has to do with initiative order. I don't want a game to scramble the initiative order unless it is desperately, direly necessary and I've made the decision to adjust it. I'm thinking Gloomhaven in this case. The initiative order changes. Sure, absolutely. You're in a real world scenario where you're fighting a bunch of creatures and it's a cutthroat environment. Some people are going to move faster. Some people are going to move slower, and we are all making an active choice on that behalf. But some games just have us move in some weird pattern, zigzag across the table, or, shuffle the dice every round or every couple of cycles, and I just don't understand it. Either leave it open to the table how we want to go, or let us play in a clockwise or counterclockwise circle like the good Lord intended. Don't shuffle the initiative. Don't change the initiative. Don't move how and when we take our turns, especially midway through or randomly within the mix of a campaign or a game or an experience. My dyslexic brain will never be able to attach to that new rhythm you set, and the pace of play and the strategy is thrown off entirely. So, there you have it. There's my list. And the question that you all have been wondering is, am I going to go down this slightly dusty spiral slide? The answer is going to be yes, but only if you like, comment, this is a mistake, and subscribe. 1, this is very dusty. 2, I don't really fit in here. And 3, I'm not sure that earned a like, comment, or subscribe from the vast majority of you. My butt's filthy, my suit's a mess, and I'm sitting here begging for YouTube accolades. not a bad life. Thank you for being here. Let me know what board games and other board game sins are on your list. And I'll see you tomorrow for another video. I think we're probably going to talk about the exact opposite of that tomorrow. Games that do it right the first time. Whatever the case, though, whatever you do, remember to do the important thing. Get out and play some games. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.